Hey, Shalom Markins. This is Rakama Kapash from GMS London, giving all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Chachwadash. I want to give double honors unto the elders, the apostles of GMS, and Shalom out there to the hopeful elect, preaching his truth in all sincerity. Back again with another video, and I was watching this video a little earlier about who owns the world's national debt, right? Because we all know that all these nations in debt. But the question is never asked, but never answered, who owns all this debt? Like, I mean, we already know who owns all that debt, right? And he does address, that in his video, without naming specific names, as we might do, or that I'm about to do. But simply, he answers it through the video, but he kind of summarized that here in 10 minutes, 45 seconds, that it's the world's wealthy that own all this debt, right? So what that means is that these wealthy, or these elites, as we call them, these elite banking families, that we keep speaking about, the Rothschilds, the DuPonts, the Gettys, the Oppenheimers, and so on and so forth, right? They own everything, including you. Right? They own this world, including you, right? Because everybody is in debt to them, right? And they're simply not just going to zero off. Well, I was going to say, they ain't going to simply zero off the debt, right, to free you of your bondage to them. They're not going to do that. But what I was about to say also then, but when this whole financial system collapses and we start anew, basically you're going to start from zero. But at the same time, you're going to be in hardcore bondage with this digital this mark of the beast. Right. But I'm gonna get into that in a minute. Yeah, so the guy goes for it. He speaks about the debts of different nations, and where this money where it's being owed to. All right, and it goes back to the elites, and this is why there's such a what's the word, man? Well, lack of a better word, there's such a gap between the rich and the poor, because these men are just making infinite money off the interest and all that, the usury, right? And the wealth gap becomes greater and greater and greater. When everyone's getting pushed further and further into the dirt, while they're getting richer, everyone's getting made poorer, right? Which is what's happening right now, right? So, good watch, only 10 minutes long or so. But I'm gonna get this in the scriptures, right? It's Proverbs 22 verse 7. The rich, okay, these super wealthy elites, right? So the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender, right? And now, if all these nations are borrowing money, right, that means they are servant. They're a servant, okay? That means they have to do the bidding of the one that is lending that money, right? That's why all these nations are really bought and paid for. They're corporations. They're bought and paid for, right, by their masters, their puppet masters, right? These corporations do the bidding of the elites. Oh, I mean, they run to their tune, and that's why all these technological advances, all these nations are working on the same thing, right? It's to forward their agenda and their plans, right? Trump is not the most powerful person in the world. Anyone that believes that is a fucking moron, right? He's here doing the bidding of his masters, right? That's always been the case. And I said all these nations are in debt, right? They owe money to the elite banking families. Okay, so he said the rich ruleth over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender. Like, so you scaled it up to nations. That's why all the nations are in their hands. That's why they're all working on the same agendas. Global warming and LGBTism and shit. And they're all just doing the same thing, pretty much, or being coerced to do it. That's who is really ruling the earth. These Edomites. Okay, these elite Edomites. Okay, and I say America, they just use as a spearhead to push that all over the earth. Because America is that reserve currency which he speaks about. Okay, And that's why, America has it as the position that it does, even though it's the the nation that's greatest in debt. It's just it's a tool that these elites use. All right. So yeah, the rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is servant to the lender, right? And so that's everybody, right? That is everybody. And this is the U.S. debt clock, right? We've probably seen this before, right? And this is why not only is there a national debt, right, but it is broken down into personal debt, right? Debt per citizen, debt per taxpayer, right? You're all in debt. We're all in debt. Being born into the countries that we're in, that are in debt, makes us in debt, right? Indebted, that we owe somebody, right? And again, who's that go back to? These elites. So they own the world, including you. And what happens when you can't pay? When you forgo your debts, right? You can't pay, right? If anyone has been in debt problems before, you got things called bailiffs and stuff like that. They come to confiscate shit. They come to confiscate shit, man. Take your possessions, anything that you have, that to pay off the debt, right? And this is why the WF, they're working towards that whole idea that you will own nothing, because ultimately it's all going to be confiscated from you, right? And you'll be going to be putting in a whole new system, a whole new program where things are controlled or shared to you. You're permitted to use certain things, or everything's a fucking subscription. You don't own nothing. They don't want you to own cars. They don't want you to fucking go on holidays and shit. Like they want you in the fucking metaverse, sitting on the beach in Hawaii somewhere, thinking that everything's fine when you're being fucking oppressed. So that idea of confiscating everything from you is exactly what they're working on, because you can't pay your debt, right? Saying he's not going to pay, not going to be able to pay the debts, right? So they're going to confiscate everything. All right. So as I said, they own everything. Literally, they own the whole world, right? Including you. You are cattle. You are, beasts of burden in this kingdom, right? It's Job chapter 9, verse 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. These, like I said, these elite banking families, these are the men that own the world, right? These are the men that rule in the earth. They're calling all the shots, for all these different nations, right? And they are the wicked, right? These Edomites at the top, they are the wicked, right? And the earth is given into their hand. So he covereth the faces of the judges thereof, if not where, and who is he, right? So if he isn't these rich elite Edomites, who is it, man? Well, the Edomites have been destroyed, all this bullshit. But that's impossible, because they're meant to be here at the end, right? And so the earth has been given into their hands. All right. It's James chapter 2, verse 6. But ye have despised the poor. Do not rich men oppress you and draw you before the judgment seats? And that's all Esau's idea is. Like he's rich and powerful, and you're weak and pathetic, right? So he has the right to oppress you and rule over you and dictate to you whatever it is, right, that he wants, right? He will always abuse his power, because that's what he likes to do with his power, to make himself feel good. Because like I said, these men, like they're mega rich, right? They own everything, and they literally have need of nothing. They're not in want of anything, right? And they could zero off everybody's, all this debt. They could zero it off, man. They got enough to give everybody £1 million and everyone to be cool, bro. You know what I'm saying? But they don't want to do that. They don't want to actually help people. They want to pretend to help people by funding these different technologies and agendas to make it look like they're helping the planet and helping people around the world. But really, they're just forwarding their own agenda, because they're looking to crush you, to oppress you even more. Put people and nations further into debt. That's all they ever do with their money and their power, to make you more subservient. That's what they do with it, right? But like I said, they have more. I'm going to read it, right? Psalm 73, starting from verse 3, right? It says, "For I was envious at the foolish when I saw the prosperity of the wicked." These men are prospering on another level. Every day, every second, every day, they're prospering, mad. The amount they're making every second, every minute of the day is crazy compared to the average person. Right, just that's working hard just to keep the roof over their head, keep food in the fridge. It's crazy, right? For there are no bands in their death, but their strength is firm, right? Ain't nobody causing them problems. They stay, embedded, in that lifestyle. How are you gonna take them out? Like, what would have to happen? Well, we know what would have to happen for them to, to fall from that kind of position. But like literally, like they're secured. Like their interest on what they, I mean, they don't have to work. The money they got just making interest is crazy. They might not have to do nothing. So they're firm in their position in the earth, man. There's nothing troubling them, bothering them, man. It's just not right. So they are not in trouble as other men. Neither are they plagued like other men. Therefore, pride compasses them about. They've become proud because they have all this power and all this wealth, right? And they're calling all these shots, holding people to ransom. I mean, they just do anything. They don't like something. They will send the hitman that, assassinate people. They're doing all kinds of stuff because they can. They got the power to. Send a whole army down there to smash a nation up. They can do that. Nothing is beyond the realms of possibility with them because they have everything at their disposal. Right. So therefore, pride compasses them about as a chain. Violence covereth them as a garment. Their eyes stand out with fatness. They have more than heart could wish. They don't need anything else, man. They got everything, but it's still not enough for them. They don't want you to have nothing. They want to have everything, even though they don't need it. The sight of you, looking like you're prospering hurts them. Any type of way, any type of happiness that you man can get, man, they despise it. Right? You shouldn't have that. You don't deserve it. You're just a useless eater on the planet. So they are corrupt. This is verse 8. They are corrupt. The people that rule this earth are corrupt. They're the wicked. These Edomites, right? And speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. They don't give a shit that you men are suffering. But people out here trying to make it look like, these people out here, like Elon Musk, or not saying he's like an elite or nothing like that, but it makes it seem like these richer people out here trying to help the world. These men ain't trying to help the world, man. They're trying to enslave you. With smiles and shit. Because the Elon Musk and Minister Gates, right? William Gates, right? They're all puppets that serve these super elite men. They're here carrying out their agendas, right? They're not here helping you; they're helping them, right? And what do they want? They want to crush you, man. Okay. So they are corrupt and speak wickedly concerning oppression. They speak loftily. Like I said, they look to have you take that MOTB, man, and have you confined it in small areas, right? Being controlled and managed on a micro level. Minimal resource usage. That's what they want. You to them, you're the cancer. Okay, when really it's them. Anyway, this is that's what I want from this one. It's Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 5. It says, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. Right? We just spoke about that pride, yeah. So neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death. Right? They can't be satiated. Like I said, they got more than heart could wish, but they can never be satiated. Right? And cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heateth unto him all people. Right? Because he wants to oppress them all. That's why he's got all these nations in debt. That's what these IMF banks are for, and all that kind of stuff, just put nations into debt. Like I said, they're the ones that own that debt. That's who it has to be paid back to. But again, they're not in no particular rush. These men are old them fucking trillions. You know what I mean? But they have so much money anyway. It's like, they're not missing it. They don't need it right now. They're man living all right. But all these nations owe them. right? And I had, where is it? No, no, right? This is world debt clocks, right? So it shows you all the debts of the nations, right? Well, yeah, worlddebtclocks.com. And you just click on them, and they break down the bits and pieces of debt per citizen. So all these nations got debt per citizen. So like everything is property to them. They own all these things because they're indebted to them. They owe them, right? All these nations. I say US is the biggest one, but like I said, it's got special privileges because it's the world's currency. So like I said, these elites, man, they own all these nations. It's like, it's crazy. But yeah, but that's what the guy goes through in the video. This is verse 6 here, Habakkuk 2 says, "Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taught in proverb against him, and say, Woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long unto him that ladeth himself with thick clay?" Right, and the thick clay is debt. And I say all these nations are in debt. America is the most heavy in this debt, right? And like I say, this man, these elites, they've gone around stealing, taking everything taking everything from everybody. It don't belong to him. Like I said, he's so mad, he's so insatiable. Like, he doesn't want no one to own nothing. He wants it all to himself, but it doesn't belong to him. And now he's just making bare money off all this debt and all this interest that he's doing. Right, to the point that these nations, they can't get out of debt. Right, and that means the people can't get out of debt. Right, so you're just property. This Micah chapter 2 verse 2 says, "And they covet fields." So let me read it up above. Verse 1 says, "Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand." Right, and so they have all the power. Right, they rule from the shadows. No one sees them. You don't really see these dudes, man. Right, so they covet fields and take them of violence. Right, so they always eyeing up somebody else's land and resources or something. That's why there's wars are fought. Truth be told, right? It's to take, right? To take them of violence and houses and take them away. So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Right? That's why all these property, all these lands getting bought up, and no one can own shit. Only these rich people can own anything. That's saying things are being confiscated from you. Okay, eventually, there's gonna be nothing left, right? No house, no land, no nothing. You don't own a car. You're not gonna, and technically, like I said, you don't technically own these things anyway because you're already in debt. But yeah, they look to take all these things away. All right. So therefore, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, against this family, these Edomites, right, do I devise an evil, from which ye shall not remove your necks, neither shall you go haughtily, for this time is evil. Right. So the Lord's getting ready to judge these dudes. It's Revelation chapter 13, verse 16, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, right? So this is what they're lining up for you right now. This is what this whole world is moving towards, with all this technology and all these threats, these scares and whatever, whether it be through war, terrorism, or cyber attacks, or plagues and pestilences, whatever, man. They're moving you into a position where you're gonna be required to take this mark, right? To maintain some sort of stability, right? To receive some sort of consistency going on, so you can receive food and all that kind of stuff. Because this whole system, is going to be all messed up, right? So he's now going to control what you can buy and what you can sell through this mark. Those that don't have it won't be able to take part in this system. So therefore, there must be something wrong with you. Must be something wrong with you, man. That you don't want to, you don't want to, participate. right? So anyone that doesn't want to participate is going to be labeled, fugitive or whatever, right? As you read in the 15th verse here, it said, he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the beast, or would not worship the image of the beast should be killed, right? So they're prepared, they're ready to, take people out, for refusing to be a part of this new system, right? But a lot of people are going to be, be willing participants, man, because of the pressure that's going to be put on them, right? Because of the circumstances at hand, right? Which they're engineering. Okay. So then that no man might buy or sell save he that had the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name, right? So you're not going to be able to operate in the new system if you don't take this mark, right? So as I said, all this is being done just to put you into perpetual slavery, right? Where you owe nothing. Okay, you're literally given breadcrumbs. Okay, you're not in control of your labor or nothing like that. This is Job chapter 20 verse 15. He have swallowed down riches and he shall vomit them up again. God shall cast them out of his belly, right? So even though you got these elites heaping all this power and wealth to themselves, right? Most High is gonna make them give it up, right? Because like I say, it don't belong to them, right? So this is what's gonna happen in the last days. So despite all this, them thinking that they're slick, thinking they're gonna pull a fast one, the Most High is gonna upset their plans, right? So all this that we're doing is gonna be for naught, right? So he shall suck the poison of an ass, the viper's tongue shall slay him. He shall not see the rivers, the floods, the brooks of honey and butter. That which he laid before shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to its substance shall the restitution be, and shall not rejoice therein. Right? So as I say, all this hard work you've put into being in a position that you're in, to have all this power and wealth that you got, it's gonna have to be given it back. Right? You will not swallow it down. It means you won't keep it. Right? And everything that is in your possession is what's going to be, is the restitution. Right? That's the payment. Right? So because you have oppressed, right? Because this is the whole agenda about these wicked elite. It's oppression, total oppression, man. Right? Because you have oppressed and have forsaken the poor, because he's made everyone poor. So it's like everybody's poor to him, right? Because you have violently taken away a house which he builded not. Right? Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods, because you're going to be left with nothing. In the fullness of his sufficiency, he shall be in straits. Okay, you're going to be in problems, in a difficult position, right? Every hand of the wicked, okay, which is the laborers, these nations, right, shall come upon him. When he is about to fill his belly, God shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him. Right? So when you're about to savor that, that last bite of your endeavors, right, of your victory, so your fought out victory, right? The Lord's going to bring wrath upon you, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So you're not going to get to finish that meal. You're not going to get to enjoy it all, right? So he shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through, right? Because America is going to be destroyed with thermonuclear destruction, man. And like I said, America is used as that main tool, that spearhead to bring about all this in the earth, okay, that they've been doing, all the policies and all this sort of stuff, the war, okay. I'm gonna leave that one there. So I'm gonna close up with James 5:1, right? So go to now, ye rich men, and weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Right? Your riches are corrupted, and your garments are moth-eaten. Right? Your gold and silver is cankered, and the rust of them shall be a witness against you, and shall eat your flesh as it were fire. Ye have heaped treasures together for the last days. Right? So behold, the hire of the laborers who will reap down your fields. Right? Going back to the hands of the wicked. Right? This is really speaking about these, okay, those that you own, that your position you've used to build up your kingdom. Okay, and that's why you heap to yourself people of all nations, man, because you got everybody working for you, building up your system. You know. See, behold, the hire of the laborers who have reaped down your fields, which is of you kept back by fraud, crieth, and the cries of them which have reaped are entered into the ears of the Lord of Sabaoth. Because everybody's got something negative to say about you, you Edomites, and your rulership, and how you exploited the world, right? Because you're unfair, right? You're not righteous. You're not just. You don't pay people correctly for their labor. You don't treat people right. I say all you're doing is continuously oppressing them and not really, giving them what they deserve ultimately. Okay, and that's why people are just broken down today, man. And people are frustrated and struggling, man, because of the system that you're running on them. You got people out here working hard, man, like fucking stupid hard, and all they can afford is to live in a fucking a room in a house. It's fucking mad. And fucking leaky sinks and shit. It's crazy. That's all they can afford, though, even though they're working hard. Hard work's not paying off in this place, man. You're getting defrauded, man. You're not getting what your money's worth at all. All right? And this kingdom is just falling apart. All these things that these nations are meant to be taken care of, it's not being taken care of, man. So what are we doing all this for? It's just a complete collapse. And let's say everything's gonna be taken away from you. You're gonna own nothing, man. As WF will tell you, right? So verse 5, ye have lived in pleasure on the earth, right? Well, who's that? It's only elites, man. And been wanton, ye have nourished your hearts as in a day of slaughter. Ye have condemned and killed the just. Okay, and that's speaking about the Israelites, right? And he doth not resist you. We're not a threat to you, we're not a problem to you, and yet you're slaughtering us day in, day out, slandering us, doing all kinds of shit. Be patient, therefore, brethren, unto the coming of the Lord. And this is who we're waiting for, Yahweh Shai, to come and correct everything, right? See, behold, the husbandman waiteth for the precious fruit of the earth, and have long patience for it, until he receive the early and latter rain. Be ye also patient, establish your hearts, for the coming of the Lord draweth nigh. Because we need the Lord to save us from this asshole, man. Because he will consume until there's nothing left, right? He will consume until everything's destroyed, man. And so we can't live under this man's rulership for much longer. We need a savior, because he won't stop. Okay, he won't stop until you're grounded into the dirt, for real. Because he's, like I said, he's insatiable. The scriptures say he's insatiable, right? And all he can do is oppress, right? But that's these wicked ass elites, right? Those that own everything, So that's who owns the world's national debt. Okay, these wicked ass Edomite elites, right? And people are calling for change and all that kind of stuff. Change ain't gonna happen. Not until Yahweh Shai comes and destroys the system. So the change the change that you're looking for is not what not what you're thinking it's gonna be, because it's gonna be a complete change, like complete change. You're not even gonna be in power anymore. You're not even gonna have any say in anything anymore, right? Change in rulership is gonna take place. But yeah. But that's it on this video anyway. Always been edifying. And I'll catch you brothers and sisters on the next video. Until next time, I say shalom.